WWE Evolution relying on Flair vs. Lynch feud. Welcome back to the ACB Wrestling Talk channel, your main source for wrestling news, topics, discussions, previews, all that kind of good stuff. One thing that I want to point out just before we get into the Smackdown Live preview for tonight's episode of Smackdown Live. We all witnessed last night on Raw. Roman Reigns had to come out and the opening segment of the show, relinquish the Universal title, and he, let us know that for the past 11 years, he's been battling leukemia. That he had beaten it before, apparently, from what I've read online, all the way back since 2008, and it had been in remission since. But unfortunately, now it's back, and thus he cannot fulfill his duties as Universal Champion, so he is relinquishing the title. Number one here, very unfortunate news. These types of health issues, these types of diseases, you don't expect them. They're very hard to deal with. I'm supposing, I can't imagine what Roman Reigns and his family and friends and everyone on the WWE roster are going through right now with these news. But one thing is for sure, and I think that, we're all aware of the context of what we live in right now in terms of doing these kind of videos and watching the shows. I mean, it's just WWE, it's just wrestling, it's entertainment. It doesn't really matter in the scheme of things. It's peanuts compared to real life and being with family and being healthy. And so to Roman Reigns, all I want to say to him is, just concentrate on getting healthy, concentrate on, being with your family and really getting healthy and fighting off this disease. And I just hope that what we saw last night was not a retirement speech. I do hope we see him back. But if we don't, I hope he does get healthy enough to live a prosperous life for the next 60, 70, 80 years. I think that should be the thought on everybody's mind when it comes to these kinds of situations. You may not like Roman Reigns, the character. You may not like Roman Reigns, the wrestler. But right now, it's not about that. It's about the person. It's about Joe. And you really need to give him all your support and all your prayers and hope that he comes back stronger than ever. So, Roman Reigns, Joe, Big Dog, get healthy and come back stronger. With that in mind, let's get back into the Smackdown Live preview for tonight. And we're just 5 nights away from WWE Evolution and the feud, the rivalry that's been highlighted all throughout Smackdown Live for the past few months. The feud that I think is the most important one leading into Evolution is the one involving the SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch and former SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. They've gone back and forth. The entire rivalry, the entire feud has transitioned over time, as all feuds should transition over time. It went from best friends to Becky Lynch turning her back on Charlotte Flair and turning heel. And right after that, Flair could not understand why her best friend would do that. And now we've gotten to the point where now Flair knows that there's pretty much no turning back with Becky Lynch. And now she's got to face her head on and try to get her title back. With that in mind, I've said it in the past, I'll say it again, and I'll continue to say it until this Sunday. I think this match, last woman standing match that they're building up to at Evolution, should close out the show. It should be the main event. I doubt it, considering Ronda Rousey has top billing and with her match against Nikki Bella. But they really gotta do something tonight that just puts excitement in everybody's mind about watching this match. Because we've seen this match numerous times before. And, you know, over the past year and a half, WWE has pretty much accentuated the fact that for a lot of women's matches, these are the first time ever, and this is the first time last woman standing match will be on the main roster. We got that PC altercation, the Performance Center altercation between Charlotte and Becky. It'll be interesting to see what cards are played tonight on SmackDown Live by SmackDown General Manager Paige and what they do to either face them off tonight or keep them away until Sunday. It's going to be interesting, but as far as I'm concerned, this feud, this rivalry between Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch is the main selling point and is the main storyline leading into Evolution. And thus, I believe at Evolution, it will not only deliver, but it will exceed expectations. That's what I hope happens with this feud. We get a rematch from last week's SmackDown 1000. AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan versus the Usos. And we also saw last week some kind of miscommunication between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan causes them to lose against the Usos. And I'm kind of liking that dynamic with them both being babyfaces. I really don't see either of them turning heel. And I hope to see, at least tonight in this tag team rematch, I hope that we get AJ and Bryan getting the win. But more than that, I hope that, you know, AJ Styles does something, and then Daniel Bryan tags himself in, and he does that exact same thing, but better. You know, competing with themselves in a babyface manner, trying to figure out who's the best. I think that would be an interesting dynamic to see on SmackDown Live tonight. We've got Rey Mysterio. He's appearing on Miz TV. The returning Rey Mysterio, who beat Shinsuke Nakamura last week. And for all intents and purposes, that match, that win over Nakamura, should give him a U.S. title match in the future. And I certainly doubt that we could be getting a future Miz versus Rey Mysterio feud in the coming weeks, in the coming months. As far as I'm concerned, Rey Mysterio is going to be facing John Cena in the WWE World Cup. May have been a fake graphic. I don't know. That's what I saw on social media. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comment section below. But as far as this whole segment, it's most likely going to be about, you know, Rey Mysterio's return, why he's returning, The Miz berating him, Rey Mysterio getting one on him, challenging him to a match, and maybe Nakamura comes out and antagonizes Rey Mysterio. Possibly, that's a possibility. We'll have to wait and see for SmackDown Live tonight. One thing's for certain, Miz TV is always entertaining. We've got Rusev versus Aiden English. They finally clash. It appears Rusev finally gets their revenge, and we saw it last week. Rusev versus The Miz, WWE World Cup qualifying. 2, 3, or 5 seconds in, Aiden English interferes, costs him the match. The Miz qualifies, and now we get to this match. Rusev versus Aiden English. Now, as much as I like Aiden English as a part of Rusev Day, as much as I liked him for the past few months with the Rusev Day gimmick, I certainly hope, I should say, that they don't extend this feud more than they need to. I hope they elevate Rusev into the mid-card. I hope they elevate Rusev into an actual U.S. title feud, into the U.S. title contention. I think right now your 4 guys in the U.S. title picture should be current champion Nakamura, returning Rey Mysterio, Rusev, and Andrade Cien Almas. I think those 4 should be the main focus of the U.S. title picture leading into the new year. As for tonight, I think Rusev gets probably not an easy win because, you know, Aiden English has tricks up his sleeve, but he will get the win. He will be dominating, and hopefully Rusev can move on to bigger and better things. We get a match that was built up on Twitter. Naomi versus Mandy Rose. Naomi, very athletic, very skilled inside the squared circle. Mandy Rose, maybe about 2 levels below her in terms of, those both categories. This match was built up on Twitter. They're going after building up to matches on pay-per-views and on these episodes of SmackDown Live and Raw via Twitter. So we're getting this. As far as, they're building towards the SmackDown Battle Royale. The Women's Battle Royale at Evolution. Not excited about that. I'm not sure if whoever wins that Battle Royale is actually going to get a guaranteed title shot at at the title of her choosing. That would be great to put some interest in that match. But as far as Naomi versus Mandy Rose, gotta say, I gotta go with Naomi. But as far as who gets the bigger push if she wins, I really don't see one way or the other how any one of these women can benefit from winning tonight. But I would pick Naomi because she's a former SmackDown Women's Champion, and I think she could be elevated. Hell, Becky Lynch versus Naomi in the future could be a great feud, a great rivalry, and a great series of matches. And one last thing I want to point out from last week's show. Loved the segment with Batista returning. Loved how he elevated Randy Orton, how he elevated Ric Flair, how he elevated Triple H, and then he put Triple H down and pretty much planting the seeds, I should say, for a future match, which I am excited about because this is a match I've been wanting, Triple H versus Batista, since 2005. I wasn't watching Raw at that time, so I couldn't watch it live, but I've gone back and I've watched them, and they're great matches. So I'm expecting a feud, hopefully leading into WrestleMania, in the middle of the card of that WrestleMania, but it's going to be a highly built match, and hopefully it would lead to Batista's retirement, which we've heard him say in the past. That's what he wants. He wants one last run with the WWE, and he wants to fight Triple H, and that's it. I'm fine with that, as long as it leads to a retirement, because there are guys currently on the roster that should be in the forefront. Batista can return, one last run, one last hurrah, and see you later. Okay? That's all I wanted to point out. So as far as that's a SmackDown Live preview. If you have any thoughts, comments, and predictions on tonight's show, comment below. Make sure you tune in to the USA Network to tune in to SmackDown Live. Don't miss what is arguably WWE's best wrestling show on cable television. And if you follow wrestling news, topics, discussions, previews, all that kind of good stuff, consider subscribing. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you dislike this video, hit the dislike button. That's it for me. Till next time.